Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, all our friends who have been regularly attending our program of the Grooming Daughters on Facebook page. I know normally you have been hearing Sabina Madam here. It's me this time. So let's get on to our today's interaction. We have Korean professor Dr. Noh with us. She is a teacher at Yongsan University. She has been teaching the undergrad program for more than 20 years, and her focus area has been the Indian businesses. She has been to India since 2011 on practically an year-on-year basis, maybe 1 or 2 years up and down there. But more importantly, in 2014-15, she devoted 1 full year to study the Indian family business and also to understand the perspective of the role of people in family business here. In fact, she had practically visited a lot of family businesses and understood, spent some time, even stayed with them. So that's Dr. Noh for you guys today. And we have our Professor Hiten Muchala, who is a professor in strategy at SPGen School of Global Management, specifically in the Global Family Managed Business Program. I will take one more liberty of using a little personal reference, a very good friend and a fantastic teacher who connects with the students on the aspects that touch them the most. More importantly, a very, very major contributor to the online program right now, the way we are doing. So that's Hiten Bhai for you. He has his own family business along with his brother that has been doing very well. So maybe that makes him more eligible to be the very good professor in strategy. And also, he's actually now turning out to be a very good grill master, people call quiz master, grill master, who asks very friendly, at the same time, thought-invoking questions to our speakers here. So that's Hiten sir and Dr. Noh. And over to you, Hiten sir, Dr. Noh, and all our dear listeners. Have a great time and please enjoy this conversation. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samish Bhai, for that very kind introduction. And of course, Dr. Noh has had very, very old relation with our institute and with Dr. Parimal Merchant and Samish Bhai. Yeah. She's somebody who has actually spent 1 full year in India and has attended our entire GFMB program. And within that period of 1 year, she has traveled across length and breadth of India. She has personally met many family businesses that belong to our participants and our students. And she's got a fantastic insight into what Indian culture is and what Indian family managed business systems are all about. And so welcome to the show, Dr. Noh. Very nice to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, and for all the viewers, she has joined us from a city, Busan, in South Korea. So she's live with us right now. Dr. Noh, now that you've spent so much time, you have understood the family business in India. What has been your experience? What are those few things that you would like, as an observer, as an outside observer, that you would like to say?
Yes, first time, thanks for your inviting, and it was very great experience with me, and also many of the students, many of my colleagues, I think, many of the students invited me to their businesses and their families. So it was very, very great time to me to understand Indian businesses and Indian families. So first time I didn't know what was the differences between Korea and India, but the more I visited, the more I understood. So it was so good. There is a very big differences. Comparing to Korean business, Korean family, Indian businesses are Indian family, not business. Indian families are very usually have very cohesive first. Their families are so big, much bigger than Korea, because they think their nephew or niece, sometimes cousins, think they are family. But in Korea, nobody think like that. Not nobody. I think 99% of the Korean family do not think their cousin, their nephew, their aunt are their family. So it's different. The Korean family is very small. So mother and their children, that's all. But in India, it was different. And women and men's positions are also different. And husband and wife's positions are also different comparing to Korea. Yeah. So they are
Right.
so different.
Okay. So,
How did it
Dr. No,
different?
let
Yeah.
me push you back into because South Korea has prospered in last couple of decades. It has become one of the very fast growing economies in the world. What has been the history of Korean business? Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, in the past, Korea was agricultural society like India. So now about the 50s, 50s, 60s, their parents, about more than 80% was the farmer. So in that case, the man's labor was very important. So the most of the family much preferred the boys rather than the daughters. So, but in that, the why we Korea has developed so fast was the education, I think. But when they were so poor in the past, before, yeah, in our history, there are so many important events to be more modernized, to be richer than before, richer country. In 1948, we had established our country. In 1950, we had a Korean War. At that time, Koreans' personal GDP was just $67. Now it's about more than $30,000 per each person. Among in this history, the most important thing was education, I think. First, they just educated, when they were so poor, they just educated their sons because they didn't have enough money to send their boys to the school, their children sent to school. In that case, just they send the boys to the school only, but now they have only one or two children. So in my case, my niece, yeah, I have 3 other brothers anyway. In my family, my brothers and my sisters, they had only 1 or 2 children. So they send them up to the higher education. I mean, up to the higher college. So they just pay money for the children who, all of the children, but they don't have money. In that case, they usually send the children who's smarter than the others. Though she's a girl, she can go to the school. It's different. So the Koreans think though the child is boy or son, that is not so important. Who is smarter? That is more important. It's the same even in the business field. If the girl is smarter than the boys to do their business, even the house family business, they invest more money to the smarter daughter rather than the stupid boy. Anyway, it's different. Yeah, there are so many historical events in our in this Republic of Korea.
So I think Dr. No very well said that part that, the history of Korea and the evolution and the prosperity of Korea, according to you, one of the very key reason is education. That's one thing. And also very well brought out is this point that, whether it is a boy or a girl, It is more about who is smarter. And the
Yeah.
person who is more smart deserves to get a better and bigger role. And whether it is
Yeah.
family, or whether it is business, or whether it is society as a whole. And I think this is something very important.
Yeah,
Tell me something.
absolutely.
Today, Korea is such a modern society, a modern economy. How are you
Mhm.
balancing your traditional Korean values and culture, or do you see a lot of deterioration happening today?
Yeah, in fact, to find out the balancing the traditional Korea and modernized Korea, um, in, philosophically in Korea, we had the Chinese philosophy that is functions. Have you heard about that? Those kind of idea we still have, but in Korea we have Christianity and Buddhism also. Fine there. But in the ethical code, as for the ethical code, they are the same in the past and even in the modernized country. Yeah, we have to respect our parents. We have to take care of our old parents. But even in that case, and have to take care of the children well. But in the past, though they don't have much money, they should respect, they should take care of their parents well. But now it's a little bit different. So everybody knows it, but in fact, the young generation cannot take care of their parents very well when they are poor. So Korean government to do more things than the family now. They got some pensions from the government. They take care of the old people, poor old people. So it's a little bit different. Rather than they don't want to have the responsibility for their parents, old parents. The Korean government are doing more things to the old generations.
Right.
Anyway, Korea is changing so fast. And now, in the past, in any case, the women have to, the Korean government and Korean society didn't accept the women's remarriage in the past. Now, that is very popular. The women's remarriage, men's remarriage, that is okay. But in the past, the men's remarriage was okay, but women's remarriage was not okay. It
Okay.
is changed. Yeah. When even in the business areas, the women and when I was young, about 40 years ago, I wanted to enter in a big companies like Hyundai, Samsung, but they didn't get the women, especially except to some special areas. In most of the areas, they didn't take the women. We could not apply for that. But now every woman can apply for it. It's different. Even in a high position, there are some women, but in the past it was impossible. But still now, in a higher position of the big company in Korean's government office, in higher position, we have many more men rather than women. But
Okay.
I think, but it's getting changed. It's a little different. In the we can guess the rate of the officials. Every year we have the government examination to get the government officials. In the past, women's ratio was so low. It's less than the 10%. Now more than 50%. It's a difference.
Okay.
So in about 10 or 20 years ago, 20 years later, I think we have many women ministers, many women higher position people. Anyway, I think even in India, I think even India family will be changed. Sorry, will be changed. So all the girls have to prepare for that. Yeah, it is
Right.
the same to all the advanced countries, developed countries. When I was young, in a college and something like that, and 20 years and 30 years, Korean women think the advanced countries' women position are really different from the Korean women's position. And we think about the American women, think about the European women. Their positions are really different, they're socially different, and in business areas, they are different. Even in the broadcast, it was very hard to see the women anchors in Korea. Now, there's some women anchors, a lot of women anchors. Yeah,
So,
it's
Dr.
like,
No, you brought out this important point that the government of Korea also has done a lot to
that's
bring
correct.
in the gender equality between men and women. But what do you think at a personal level, at family levels, at business levels? How have the Korean businesses changed their mind and their attitude towards having more women? This is one is the government rules, government regulations, and the government help. But what about the mindset of the people in Korea? How has that changed over a period of time?
Yeah, nowadays, so far in a high position in the business areas, there are more men rather than women, because when the businesses include the people, they prefer men rather than women, because women has to have a baby birth, and they have to take care of their families and house chores. But in younger generation, in 20s nowadays, it's different. When they have a baby, the women usually have a 6 months vacation. It's a Korean law. And also the men also have the 6 months vacation. So when they have a baby, the women first to 6 months vacation to take care of their baby. And then her husband have a 6 months vacation to take care of his baby. During that time, she can go back to her business. So Korea has been changed. But some small companies doesn't want to give the vacation to the girl so long, but in a government position and the big companies, they should give them those long vacation. That is Korean law. This is different. In a family, also in a children's family, in a family, the children are equal, totally equal. The daughter and boy are really equal. But husband and wife, I think in 20 years and 30 years, 80% equal. And 40s and 50s, 60% equal. I mean, usually the man's power is stronger than the women. So most of the house chores are women's job rather than the man's job. I mean, my niece, she is 33. Her husband is 33 also. They work together when they come back from their businesses. It's the same. But my sister's family and my brother's family, in that case, they're almost equal, but usually women works more house chores. And then when they make a big decision for the family members, I think man has more responsibility and has more power. But almost, in most of the cases, they're almost equal, I think. Yep.
How do you think, Dr. No, currently in Korea, about the family businesses, the small and the medium-sized family businesses? You say that son and daughter is the same, which is fine. How as a father who is handling a business in Korea, induct or develop his son or daughter and bring him into business? What does a father do today?
In that case, when the children wants to join in the businesses, he accepts it. But when their son or daughter does not want to join into his business, they do their own way. But many of the cases, the father usually wants to carry on want his business to his son. Yeah, he wants to inherit his business to his son. But when he doesn't want it, the boy doesn't want it, he cannot give it. Yeah. So if the girl wants to do it, yeah, she can do it. Yeah.
How about a young Korean lady who is already married and she wants to do her own business? How is a husband supporting his wife in Korea?
I think most of the case, if the woman wants to do her own business, she can do it. If the husband doesn't want it, if she wants, she can do it. It doesn't matter. Even though their husband, father-in-law doesn't want her to do her business, she can do it. Yeah, that's her responsibility. That is her freedom. Who can intervene?
And how is she supported? How is she supported in this activity of doing her business?
Okay, it depends on if she has her money, she can do it. But sometimes their father-in-law, sometimes her husband can support it. It's not a big problem. Though women and men, men's position and men's idea, women's idea, then it's not a big difference, is it? It depends on her mind. Yeah.
So a follow-on question on that, Dr. Noh, is what is a modern young Korean woman's aspirations? What does she think? What does she want to achieve in life today? How do you see it? How do you see it?
They want to have a very good job. They want to have a very good businesses. Rather than depending on her husband or her family, she wants to do her own business, own job. She wants to have her own job. She can do it. And sometimes nowadays, some of the women who has very strong will, in that case, her husband quit his job and he take care of the house chores and the children. She does her business. That is happening in Korea. That is happening in Korea. The man and woman, it's not so important. The woman can do everything she wants. I think India also will be changed like that. It was like American women and European women. So when I was young, about 20 or 30 years ago, we were dreaming like that. And nowadays, the younger generation women are doing like that. Though she is a woman, she cannot do anything. No, it's not happen. When she wants, she can do everything.
Wonderful.
Society
very
is
well
changing.
said.
Yeah.
Right.
Society is always
So what is
changing.
What has been your opinion about the woman in India? You have interacted with so many young women in India in our own program and also other parts of the country. As an outsider, as a non-Indian, how do you look at the growth of and the role of women in India?
I think some of the Indian women are very strong, and then they have a very strong will. So when they want, I mean, the women want to do something, she can do that. I think they have to have the courage. That is very important. I want to encourage them. Or sometimes, like my mother's generation and my young generation, we think about the family first too. or what my father and mother think about that, what my around the people think about that. We are usually think about that. We have thought like that, but now they don't have to do that. They can do what they want to do. That is natural. And also in about 10 or 20 years later, Indian women will be treated like the Korean women. It's same everywhere in the world. They
So
should have been
I
encouraged.
think that's a big statement that that I really loved you saying that next 10 to 20 years you see a big change in the role of
Yeah, of
women
course.
in India. But
Sure.
also a woman has to be supported by the right kind of mindset, right? Because there needs to be the society, the family, the people around her who needs to be equally supportive.
But you should know that,
How do you see that changing in India?
you know, while I was visiting many of the Indian family businesses, I met their father and their CEOs and their CEOs and their owners of the business. In that case, I have asked them, what do you think about your girls' business or something like that? All of them, I think almost 100% Indian businessmen and CEOs told me when my daughter want to do that, they will support. They said like that. But rather than the environment of her, she should have the big mindset and she should have encouraged. That is very important. Their parents, their mother, their father are ready to support their daughter. They should know that. But in fact, rather than their support to the women, I mean the daughters, mine is more important, I think. So in some of the viewpoints in politics and in politics, there are so many women leaders in India. More number of the women leaders India have, including Minister Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, something like that. So in some viewpoints, India is far faster than Korea. So they should have their mindset first. They should have their courage. That is more important, I think. Everything is ready for them, but they didn't have any courage.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think that's very wonderfully said, Dr. No. And so what we understand is that as an outsider, what Dr. No thinks about India is that something that happened in Korea 10 or 20 years ago is something that is happening in India.
No, it was different. When I was young, my father think you don't have to go to college. You better have a husband who makes more money, who has more higher education or something like that. But comparing to my father's generation, he's passed away, father's generation, nowadays Indian parents, I'm in the 50s, I usually met 50s Indian businessmen, they had a more open mind. I was shocked.
Absolutely,
All
absolutely.
the atmosphere, all the atmosphere is ready to help them, ready to help their daughters, but they don't do it. I think that is more comfortable. They don't want to challenge it since it is sometimes risky. So I think so.
Correct. So I think a very important thing coming out from what Dr. No says is that the Indian woman needs to have more courage. Things are changing, the acceptance is happening, and the societal mindset is also changing. And according to Dr. No, something that has happened in Korea is going to happen in India, and it's already happening, and that is what she's seeing. And that's precisely the reason why we conduct this particular session. The whole idea and the purpose of conducting this session is can we groom our daughters? Can we develop our daughters? Can we train our daughters? And can we use our own family business to do this? So this is the initiative that we are taking at Asian Institute of Family Managed Business. And the whole purpose is to bring along people to have this kind of mindset. So all the viewers who believe in us, who believe in what we do, today we have this lady from Korea who has a very different way of looking at our country and the way we are prospering. And I think these are signs of development. Those of you who believe in us, those of you who would like to join with us, those of you who would like to have more discussions with us, please contact Ms. Sujata Roy. She can be reached on 98339 67687. I repeat, 98339 67687. And before I sign off, Dr. Noh, I cannot thank you enough for spending so much time to be on this platform with us. It's quite late in the night for you in Korea, but thank you so much. I'm sure our viewers have taken back a lot from what you've said. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
And we will see you again, all of you, next Sunday, same time with another speaker. So stay tuned in, sign into Grooming Daughters on Facebook, subscribe to our channel, and you'll be updated about what is going to happen next week. Thank you so much. See you next week, same time. Bye-bye.